Here's another scary encounter with the Serbian dancing lady. For those of you that don't know, this woman has been in the news lately. She dances the street at night, and when she locks eyes with someone, she will chase them with a knife. Now, I did do research into this woman to see if she's real or what was happening, and I found an article about her dating back to 2019. This woman was spotted dancing by a hospital and police were called. However, when they arrived on scene, she was gone. Another witness reported that she was jumping into traffic and chasing people with a knife. I just posted a video on my channel about the disturbing truth behind the Serbian dancing lady. If you want to know the truth, watch this video. Link in bio.
Like really late at night, I'm gonna scare myself in the process of doing this, but does something feel wrong with this picture? It's the last photo that we know of the Rio Rancho 3. It's actually 4 girls total on July 18th, 2016 who went missing in Rio Vista Park. Bodies were found in this location with, and I cannot understate this, grisly injuries. The most notable being that they all had their noses removed using a sharp blade. This photo, found on one of the phones of the girls, if you look to the background, tells a very dark story. Before we jump in, a massive thank you to you for supporting my podcast, Creep Time the Podcast. If you want to listen, go click the link in my bio. You can listen on Spotify or Apple. When police sharpened and enhanced the photo, they looked to the background and they saw this, an unknown man who was there with the girls. Ended up working with a forensic photo analyst to enhance the photo as much as possible, and this was the result. Still leaving the question, who even was the man who was after them?
Was Eve really the first woman? Most are familiar with the biblical story of the creation featuring Adam and Eve. However, Jewish mythology offers an alternative tale, recounting the existence of Lilith, said to be Adam's first wife before Eve. Legend has it that both Adam and Lilith was formed from the same clay within the Garden of Eden. Believing herself to be equal footing to Adam, Lilith was taken aback whenever commanded to submit to him. Resolute in her conviction, she chose to depart the garden. As the story goes, God dispatched angels to convince Lilith to return, but she defied them and rejected God's authority, ultimately transforming her into a demon. Some interpretations even suggest that Lilith, seeking retribution, returned to the garden disguised as a serpent, tempting Adam and Eve to partake of the forbidden fruit. Consequently, the couple was forced exiled from paradise. Now, Lilith's presence within the Bible is a subject of debate, with some scholars pointing to her mention as the night creature in Isaiah 34:14. Nonetheless, her true identity remains shrouded in mystery. Follow, because my next story is crazy.
Carl would get a job as an x-ray technician at a local hospital. An older woman walked into the office. She was there to get her 21-year-old daughter an x-ray of her chest. Carl just stopped what he was doing and stared at the daughter. And then he kind of broke out of it and he said to her, "Ma'am, I will do everything in my power to save your life." She said her name was Elena. And unfortunately, he would discover that she had tuberculosis. Over the next year, Carl would be in touch with Elena and her family on a near daily basis, but Elena would unfortunately pass away. Carl set up a mausoleum for her, spending virtually all of his time kneeling inside of it, crying. After 7 years, Elena's family decided, enough is enough. Elena's sister, Florinda, decided to go over to Carl's house and confront him. And as she's driving towards the house, she sees Carl, and he's ballroom dancing with this woman, and she knocked on his front door. It opened up just a crack. She got to see who was inside that house, and Florinda knew immediately it was her sister. She drove off to tell the police, and when the police went inside, sure enough, it was Elena. However, Elena was deceased and had been for 7 years. After her death, Carl said he was able to talk to her inside of her mausoleum. She told him that she wanted to come back with him and stay at his house, where he painstakingly attempted to restore Elena's body to its original form. He strung piano wire through her entire body, connecting all of her bones together. He replaced her eyes with glass eyes, and he began began rubbing the special wax all over her skin. He also stuffed her full of rags. He would laugh with her, he would cry with her, he would sleep with her. He believed if he could somehow get her body up into the stratosphere, that the radiation up there would bring her back to life. Instead, he was charged with destroying a grave and removing a body without authorization. However, these charges would be dropped and Carl would be set free. As for Elena, her body was returned to her family and they would bury her in Key West.
So when he went to pet him, he realized that it wasn't his dog. Back in 1974, the Johnson family in Cincinnati experienced some strange occurrences in their home. Their teenage daughter, Claire, kept complaining of seeing glowing eyes outside her window at night and feeling like she was being watched. And then one night, the youngest son, Timmy, was laying in bed when he felt the family dog jump onto his bed. But when he went to pet it, he realized that it wasn't his dog at all. The creature quickly fled the scene, leaving Timmy shaken. According to reports, the Cincinnati crawler may have been responsible for at least 4 other disappearances in that area. Despite the various theories surrounding the creature's origins, the only evidence we have of the Cincinnati crawler is a clear photograph that was taken before he managed to escape. This has left many people wondering about what the creature looks like in real life. Follow, because my next story is crazy.
So speaking about UFOs, so on the airplane to Bogota, Colombia, where I am right now, and we were just about to land. It was about like 20 minutes left. Then all of a sudden I saw this object just like fly by really fast, faster than the airplane was going.
A veteran police officer named Josh Thomas was going to be working at the Capital City Theater. At some point in the night, Josh comes over the radio and says, "Hey, I need backup right now. Someone has broken into the theater." And when Dave gets to the theater, Dave would say that Josh's eyes were, like saucers. He looked terrified. He said that he had been doing security rounds and he had heard what sounded like voices when he was in the basement. He checked all the rooms, everything was shut. And when he made his way up to the 3rd floor, he saw that the elevator had kicked on. It was in the basement, and suddenly the light was on and it was whirring up to the 3rd floor. And when the elevator opened up, there was no one there. And then the alarm goes off. That's when he called in for backup. They clear the whole theater, no one's there. They go into the main auditorium where the stage is, and they're just standing on the stage chatting with each other. And Josh is facing Dave. Josh just suddenly stopped, looking just beyond Dave's shoulder. And Josh goes, "There's something behind you." Dave slowly turns around. He can tell immediately what Josh is looking at. Standing in the very back of the theater away from them is a man standing in the corner with its hands by its sides. Its back is to them and it's looking down with a hood over its head. Dave turns his whole body around to look at this thing right as this thing turns around real quick and looks directly at them. It has these deep, dark, sunken eyes, and its face looks like it had been very badly burned, and it's looking at them before it just turns and runs out the back of the theater. Josh believed that that was an intruder. Dave was fairly certain that that was just another example of this entity that haunts the theater. But they would search the building and they could never find that cloaked figure again. Dave would do some additional digging on the history of the theater. It would turn out that in the 40s there was this horrible fire and a man had been trapped in the basement when the fire had erupted. And he had died inside of the theater. And so Dave would share this information with Josh. They believed that what they were witnessing was the ghost of that man who died in that fire.
Did you know that the Garden of Eden might be located in an unexpected place? According to scripture, a river flows from Eden and was then divided into 4 headwaters named the Pishkin, the Gilhan, the Tigris, and the Euphrates. Although we only know the location of 2 of these rivers today, it is commonly assumed that the Garden of Eden must have been situated somewhere nearby. But what if there's more to the story? Some people believe that an event such as the biblical flood of Noah may have altered the landscape of the earth, including the locations of the Garden of Eden. After all, if the landmarks and geography have shifted, it is entirely possible that what we think we know about the Garden of Eden could be completely wrong. But listen to this. Some ancient maps of the North Pole from the 15th and 16th century depict a landmass with 4 headwaters emerging from it. These headwaters bear striking similarities to the ones mentioned in the Bible. However, later maps removed this piece of land entirely, and it was never mentioned again. Follow for more.
Scariest videos on the internet? right corner.
This is a true horrifying story that took place in Ar'ar, Saudi Arabia. This story has also been aired on TV by a couple of imams confirming it. I will add a video source in the comments. A Saudi Arabian man from Ar'ar has 4 brothers. All 4 brothers are married except him. People always ask him, why didn't you get married yet? And he always gets aggressive when someone asks him about marriage. He hates it. He doesn't want to get married. So people knew this man is not someone you should speak about marriage with. A few weeks later, this man was invited to a wedding. In most Muslim countries, weddings separate men and women. The men's wedding was held at a farmland somewhere deep in the desert. As he was driving alone at night to the wedding, he heard a woman screaming, "Please don't leave me, please help." He panicked and quickly turned on Quran in the car. Every time he hears the woman screaming, he would look outside and see a wolf. The screams wouldn't stop, and every time there was a scream, the same wolf would appear. He eventually made it to the wedding, and then he told a couple of people what happened to him on the way there. On the next day, he tells his good friend what happened. They both hop in the car in daylight and they go look for that woman. For hours, they were looking. They found traces from the wolf, but they didn't find anything else. A week later, this man went to a majlis, and he announces that he is convinced to get married for some reason. And everyone there was shocked. You, out of all people, want to get married all of a sudden. Something is not right. He had enough. He decided to go to a sheikh, and he tells him the full story. I hated marriage. I always got aggressive when someone brought it up. One day, when I drove to a wedding at night, I heard a woman screaming for help, but all I saw was a wolf. And then a few days later, I was convinced with getting an arranged marriage. Please explain what is happening to me. The sheikh laughs and tells him, you were attached by an admirer, a jinn that was emotionally attached to you. She made you hate getting married. The night you drove in the desert, she was following you. She tried to possess you, but she couldn't. And that wolf you saw killed the jinn. Jinns are known to be afraid of wolves because a wolf is the only animal that can take a jinn's life. And when you heard a woman scream, it was the jinn getting attacked. And now, you are no longer against marriage because the curse you had was killed by a wolf.
So this place has a really cool balcony and like a nice view of the city. And sometimes at night I would go out and look at the sky just to see if there's any UFOs in the sky.
When summer ends, it always leaves a mark, so we can find our way back to the water. But we take our time and lay out on the dock like 2 cold-blooded souls in need of warmth. We'll take everything that you want, you can have it, and I'll brush the sand from my clothes. No need to be ladylike, even forbidden fruit you can buy, and every excuse you could possibly use for the way that the world says to be. I'm thinking it's best